organized crime in the 1920s and how World War I helped cause it. After World War I, the United States of America experienced a surge of organized crime throughout the country. When the United States first entered World War I, people of the country warned politicians about children abusing alcohol, which was one of the major causes of prohibition in America. Prohibition was passed as the 18th Amendment in 1917, which illegalized the manufacture, transportation, and sale of alcoholic products. One of the reasons the U.S. passed the 18th Amendment was because of a large number of popular alcoholic producers were German, and since the Germans were the opposing side to America in World War II, the American government would pass this amendment. Even though prohibition made the manufacturing and sale of alcohol illegal, many criminals would illegally sell the alcohol. Prohibition of alcohol made it illegal to buy and sell alcohol, but if someone really was in need of an alcoholic beverage, they could easily get their hands on one from organized crime groups. Prohibition made the manufacturing and sale of alcohol illegal, but many criminals would still illegally sell it and provide alcohol to the public. Prohibition, which was caused by World War I economic problems, led to bootlegging, or the illegal manufacture or sale of goods, especially alcohol. The public of America was in desperate need of alcohol, and since producing alcohol was illegal, bootlegging became super popular in the 1920s. Bootlegging caused mobs in America, and organized crime was increasing in America because of it. Criminal competition arose in America because of all the bootlegging. Bootlegging produced millions of gallons of alcohol that was being sold illegally throughout the country. One of the major ways bootlegging was easily accessible to the public were speakeasies. Speakeasies are illegal establishments that sold illegally produced alcohol during Prohibition in the 1920s. Police officers and law enforcement could barely do anything in response to these speakeasies. Originally, enforcement of Prohibition was given to the IRS, but later was transferred to the Justice Department. Prohibition was enforced a lot more strictly in rural areas and less in urban areas. This allowed more organized crime to occur in urban areas. Al Capone was one of the most notorious mobsters in America during the 1920s. Al Capone was known as the Iron Fist of Chicago, Illinois. During the Prohibition era in America, roughly in the 1920s, Capone made millions of dollars by gambling, bootlegging, and prostitution. Al Capone was a violent criminal too, as he was responsible for many illegal acts of violence, mostly against other gangsters in Chicago. Throughout Capone's life, he fought with the rival gang leader, George Moran, which they fought about who would run the organized crime in Chicago. During the 1920s, both of the men survived several murder attacks from each other. At one occasion, Moran and some of his associates ambushed the hotel at which Capone and his gang were located and sprayed more than 1,000 bullets in hope to kill Capone and his men. One of Al Capone's most brutal and infamous acts of violence was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929. Al Capone set up the massacre in rival George Moran's headquarters in Northside, Chicago. 4 of Capone's men dressed up as police officers and pretended to detain 7 of Moran's henchmen. Once the henchmen were lined up against a wall, thinking they were detained, the 4 of Capone's hitmen shot all 7 of them and killed all of them. This was the last interaction between Capone and Moran, as Moran lost his most crucial men in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and Al Capone was arrested in 1931. The Ku Klux Klan, or more popularly known as the KKK, was founded in 1866 by the former Confederate soldiers and Southerners opposed to the American Civil War. But soon after the KKK was founded, it was deconstructed. About 50 years later, in 1915, the KKK was adopted again. The Klansmen were pictured as heroes and gained much support. William Simmons, who rebirthed the KKK, marked the return by lighting a cross on fire on a mountain. In the Ku Klux Klan's original days, they targeted only black people. But in the newly readopted KKK, they also targeted Catholics, Jews, and foreigners. The Klan would heavily advocate white supremacy, and the Klan also attacked elites and intellectuals. In the 1920s, the membership of the KKK boomed, and the headcount of the Klan was as high as 8 million. Membership of the KKK arose as not only the poor could attend their meetings, they were joined by middle-class citizens of America too. In 1920, the Ku Klux Klan expanded to many states, trying to overthrow the state and federal government in America. The KKK was not a nonviolent organization that committed no illegal activities. There were many counts of acts of hangings, floggings, mutilations, tarring, feathering, and kidnapping. The Ku Klux Klan was a threat to the American public.